Hello. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Today I wanted to read from Liber 58, specifically Aleister Crowley's An Essay Upon Number, which appeared in the Temple of Solomon the King, as well as 777 and other Kabbalistic writings of Aleister Crowley. Specifically, this is going to be part 2 of An Essay Upon Number, so it's just a selection. It's not going to be the whole thing. This part 2 of An Essay Upon Number is called The Universe as We Seek to Make It. It's going to reference the first part, but for our purposes, I think it's best just to examine the second part, this part here, and come back to that part another time. Also, this is not going to include the entirety of part 2, which analyzes different numbers. So I'm going to skip that and just read the first paragraphs of part 2, The Universe as We Seek to Make It. Part 2, The Universe as We Seek to Make It. In the first part, we have seen all numbers as veils of the One, emanations and therefore corruptions of the One. It is the universe as we know it, the static universe. Now the aspirant to magic is displeased with the state of things. He finds himself but a creature, the farthest removed from the Creator, a number so complex and involved that he can scarcely imagine, much less dare to hope for, its reduction to the One. The numbers useful to him, therefore, will be those which are subversive of this state of sorrow. So the number 2 represents to him the Magus, the great magician Mayan, who has created the illusion of Maya, as we see in the second Aether. And considering himself as the ego who posits the non-ego, Fichte, he hates this Magus. It is only the beginner who regards this Magus as the wonder worker, as the thing he wants to be. For the adept, such little consolation as he may win is rather to be found by regarding the Magus as B equals Mercury equals 8 equals CH equals 418 equals Abrahadabra, the great word, and the word of double power in the voice of the Master, which unites the 5 and the 6, the rose and the cross, the circle and the square. And also B is the path from Binah to Kether. But that is only important for him who is already in Binah, the master of the temple. He finds no satisfaction in contemplating the tree of life and the orderly arrangement of the numbers. Rather does he enjoy the Kabbalah as a means of juggling with these numbers. He can leave nothing undisturbed. He is the anarchist of philosophy. He refuses to acquiesce in merely formal proofs of the excellence of things. Quote, he doeth all things well, end quote. Quote, were the world understood, ye would see it was good, end quote. Quote, whatever is right, end quote, and so on. To him, on the contrary, whatever is wrong. It is part of the painful duty of a master of the temple to understand everything. Only he can excuse the apparent cruelty and fatuity of things. He is of the supernals. He sees things from above. Yet, having come from below, he can sympathize with all. And he does not expect the neophyte to share his views. Indeed, they are not true to a neophyte. The silliness of the new thought zanies in passionately affirming, quote, I am healthy, I am opulent, I am well dressed, I am happy, end quote, when in truth they are, quote, poor and miserable and blind and naked, end quote, is not a philosophical but a practical silliness. Nothing exists, says the Magister Templi, but perfection. True, yet their consciousness is imperfect. Ergo, it does not exist. For the MT, this is so. He has, quote, cancelled out the complexities of the mathematical expression called existence, and the answer is zero. But for the beginner, his pain and another's joy do not balance. His pain hurts him, and his brother may go hang. The Magister Templi, too, understands why zero must plunge through all finite numbers to express itself, why it must write itself as, quote, unquote, n minus n instead of zero, why gain there is in such writing, what gain there is in such writing. And this understanding will be found expressed in Liber 418, Episode of Chaos and His Daughter, and Liber Legis 1, 28 through 30. But it must never be forgotten that everyone must begin at the beginning. And in the beginning the aspirant is a rebel, even though he feel himself to be that most dangerous type of rebel, a king dethroned. A footnote here. And of course, if his revolt succeeds, he will acquiesce in order. The first condition of gaining a grade is to be dissatisfied with the one that you have. And so when you reach the end, you find order as at first, but also that the law is that you must rebel to conquer. End of footnote. Hence he will worship any number which seems to him to promise to overturn the tree of life. He will even deny and blaspheme the one, whom, after all, it is his ambition to be, because of its simplicity and aloofness. He is tempted to, quote-unquote, curse God and die. Atheists are of three kinds. 1. The mere stupid man. Often he is very clever, as Bolingbroke, Broadlaw, and Foote were clever. He has found out one of the minor arcana, and hugs it and despises those who see more than himself, or who regard things from a different standpoint. Hence he is usually a bigot, intolerant of even tolerance. 2. The despairing wretch, who, having sought God everywhere and failed to find him, thinks everyone else is as blind as he is, and that if he has failed, he, the seeker after truth, it is because there is no goal. In his cry there is pain. As with the stupid kind of atheists, there is smugness and self-satisfaction. Both are diseased egos. 3. The philosophical adept, who, knowing God, says, there is no God, meaning God is zero, as Kabbalistically he is. He holds atheism as a philosophical speculation as good as any other, and perhaps less likely to mislead mankind and do other practical damage than the other. Him you may know by his equanimity, enthusiasm, and devotion. I again refer to Liber 418 for an explanation of this mystery. The 9 religions are crowned by the ring of adepts whose password is, there is no God, so inflected that even the Magister, when received among them, had not wisdom to interpret it. 1. Mr. Daw, K.C. My lord, I respectfully submit there is no such creature as a peacock. 2. Oedipus of Colonus. Alas, there is no sun. Even I, have looked and found it not. 3. Dixit stultus in corde suo. Ein Elohim, quote unquote. There is a 4th kind of atheist, not really an atheist at all. He is but a traveler in the land of no God, and knows that it is but a stage on his journey, and a stage, moreover, not far from the goal. Daath is not in the tree of life, and in Daath there is no God, as there is in the Sephiroth, for Daath cannot understand unity at all. If he thinks of it, it is only to hate it, as the one thing which he is most certainly not. See Liber 418, 10th Aether. I may remark in passing that this book is best known to me on advanced Kabbalah, and of course it is only intelligible to advanced students. This atheist, not in being but in passing, is a very apt subject for initiation. He has done with the illusions of dogma. From a knight of the royal mystery, he has risen to understand with the members of the sovereign sanctuary that all is symbolic, all, if you will, the jugglery of the magician. He is tired of theories and systems of theology and all such toys, and being weary and anhungered and athirst, seeks a seat at the table of the adepts, and a portion of the bread of spiritual experience, and a draught of the wine of ecstasy. It is then thoroughly understood excuse me. It is then thoroughly understood that the aspirant is seeking to solve the great problem, and he may conceive, as various schools of adepts in the ages have conceived, this problem in three main forms. 1. I am not God, I wish to become God. This is the Hindu conception. I am Malkuth, I wish to become Kether. This is the Kabbalistic conception. 2. I am a fallen creature, I wish to be redeemed. This is the Christian conception. I am Malkuth, the fallen daughter. I wish to be set upon the throne of Binah, my supernal mother. This is the Kabbalistic equivalent. 3. I am the finite square. I wish to be one with the infinite circle. This is the unsectarian conception. I am the cross of extension. I wish to be one with the infinite rose. This is the Kabbalistic equivalent. The answer of the adept to the first form of the problem is, for the Hindu, thou art that. See previous chapter, the yogi. For the Kabbalist, Malkuth is in Kether, and Kether is in Malkuth, or that which is below is like that which is above, or simply Yod, the foundation of all letters having the number 10, symbolizing Malkuth. The answer of the adept to the second form of the problem is, for the Christian, all the familiar teaching of the Song of Songs and the Apocalypse concerning the Bride of Christ. A footnote here. This Christian teaching, not its Kabbalistic equivalent, is incomplete. The bride, the soul, is united though only by marriage with the Son, who then presents her to the Father and Mother or Holy Spirit. These four then complete the Tetragrammaton. But the bride is never united to the Father. In this scheme, the soul can never do more than touch Tifereth and so receive the ray from Chokmah, whereas even St. John makes his Son say, I and my Father are one. And we all agree that in philosophy there can never be, in truth, more than one. This Christian dogma says, never less than four. Hence its bondage to law and its most imperfect comprehension of any true mystic teaching, and hence the difficulty of using its symbols. End of footnote. For the Kabbalist, it is a long, complex dogma which may be studied in the Zohar and elsewhere. Otherwise, he may simply answer, Hey, the letter alike of the mother and daughter in Yod He Vav He. See letter Liber 418 for lengthy disquisitions on this symbolic basis. The answer of the adept to the third form of the problem is given by pi, implying that an infinite factor must be employed. For the Kabbalist, it is usually symbolized by the rosy cross, or by such formulae as 5 equals 6. That they conceal the word answering this problem is also true. My discovery of this word is the main subject of this article. All the foregoing exposition has been intended to show why I sought a word to fulfill the conditions, and by what standards of truth I could measure things. But before proceeding to this word, it is first necessary to explain further in what way one expects a number to assist one in the search for truth, or the redemption of the soul, or the formulation of the rosy cross. I am supposing that the reader is sufficiently acquainted with the method of reading a name by its attributions to understand how, once a message is received and accredited, it may be interpreted. Thus, if I ask, what is knowledge, and receive the answer, D-O-T-H, I read it Daleth the door, O matter, T-H the darkness, by various columns of 777. To choose the column is a matter of spiritual intuition, solvitur ambulando. But here I am only dealing with the trying of spirits to know whether they be of God, quote unquote. Suppose now that a vision purporting to proceed from God is granted to me. The angel declares his name. I add it up. It comes to 65. An excellent number, a blessed angel. Not necessarily. Suppose he is of a mercurial appearance. 65 is a number of Mars. Then I conclude that, however beautiful and eloquent he may be, he is a false spirit. The devil does not understand the Kabbalah well enough to clothe his symbols in harmony. But suppose an angel, even lowly in aspect, not only knows the Kabbalah, your own researches in the Kabbalah as well as you do, but is able to show you truths, Kabbalistic truths, which you had sought for long and vainly. Then you receive him with honor and his message with obedience. It is as if a beggar sought audience of a general, and showed beneath his rags the signet of the king. When an Indian servant shows me chits, quote unquote, signed by Colonel this and Captain that, written in ill-spelt Babu English, one knows what to do. On the contrary, the man who was lost rose and broke the stem of his wineglass at the regimental toast, and all knew him for one of their own. In spiritual dealings, the Kabbalah, with those secrets discovered by yourself that are only known to yourself and God, forms the grip, sign, token, and password that assure you that the lodge is properly tiled. That's all I'm going to read today. But I hope you found it interesting. Thank you so much. Love is the law, love under will.